Welcome to That's What She Pled, with attorneys Christina Goldberg and Julie Lurson from Lurson Goldberg LLC, law powered by women. It's time to shake up the old standards of law and of business. Join these two witty, intelligent, and sassy female business owners who are taking their industry by storm, challenging stereotypes and shattering ceilings. These two are on a mission to educate, empower, and support not only their own clients, but other powerhouse female entrepreneurs. Come for a laugh and stay for the vibe as Julie and Christina hold nothing back and share the truth of what it is to be female attorneys and business owners through discussion of current events, original stories, and inspiring guests. Now, on to the show. Welcome to the That's What She Pled podcast. I'm Christina Goldberg, and Julie Lurson is here with me.
Hello.
And so
we're going to switch it up today.
Yeah, we're going to switch it up just a little bit. We've had guests for the past few weeks, which is we absolutely intend to continue doing that. But we don't want to lose sight of us and our business and who we are and the things that make us successful, if I can say that. So we actually threw a few ideas around for today's podcast and decided between the kind of our top two thoughts were number one, maybe the top 10 things that we have learned and the things that you should know as a consumer. And the other option was some of our top craziest stories. We've got some good ones, but we decided to go with the top 10 things that we've learned and that you should know, just in keeping with empowered businesswomen and kind of going down that rabbit hole. But then we'll take another break after we have some more guests, and we'll do
and we'll probably weave a crazy story somewhere in our top 10. I mean,
absolutely.
These are top 10 things we've learned. Then surely somewhere along the way, it's because something crazy and unexpected happened. So here we go.
Always. Okay. So the number one thing that we've learned, well, these aren't in any particular order, but the first topic we're going to discuss, setting expectations. So
very important
with our clients. Everybody we meet with comes to us with, well, I looked it up and my injury is worth, X amount of dollars, or my friend hired an attorney and my friend got Y amount of dollars. Or
so-and-so I know had to have this surgery and therefore this is what my case is about too. And then obviously we live in a place and time where there are plenty of injury attorneys out there marketing themselves, and frequently they love to scream and shout about fantastic results they've obtained. I mean, the caveat always is it's the specific facts and circumstances of your situation that really are what's critical, what's key, and what's going to dictate what happens, not some figure on a billboard or something like that. So
and it's really easy to want to be a people pleaser and to want to say, I believe in your case and it's worth $1 million and you're just so great and I'm going to do everything in my power and I'm going to fight for you. And those are all things that we want to express and we want to feel. But those are things that are just a fatal mistake to make with a client, because we have a job to do. And a lot of times that job is very, very difficult because it requires us to set expectations and to make sure that our clients understand, listen, my saying this to you does not mean that I don't have faith in your case. And it does not mean that I don't have faith in my own abilities. It just means that I'm in touch with reality and I'm not the one going through your trauma right now. And that's probably the hardest part of our job. But setting those expectations for our clients is it's absolutely
from the beginning. Key. If we blow a lot of smoke up your skirt in order to, I guess, land you as a client, and then, have to deal with the reality of the facts and circumstances of where your case sits, we're just going to disappoint you. And, we certainly don't want to set unrealistically high expectations that don't have any, truth grounded in them. So only to have you pissed off at us when we can't meet those. I mean,
it happens. Yeah,
it does. Sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 2 that we wrote down, check priors. So when you come to us and you're involved in an auto accident or a slip and fall or any liability injury. Yeah. It's really, really vital
despite what our new clients tell us. Nope, I have no priors. Nope, I've never gotten this. No, I've never complained of that. Check, because those can rear their ugly, ugly head at a time in the case that you really don't want them to. And it's not intentional, because go
sometimes
ahead.
people they're embarrassed, or they feel like that will be some sort of deal breaker. What I will say is, listen, I can prepare for something so long as I know about it. If I'm surprised, if it comes up unexpectedly, or we've drilled down hard on a certain set of facts that actually aren't fact, then we have problems. So give it to me straight. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me what's going on. If you've had prior accidents, that's very common. If you've had prior, if you've been to the chiropractor and you love the chiropractor because you've had neck issues, that's okay. We can work with the truth.
Right. Well, the truth is the only thing that's going to work out best for us, because that information is going to come to light. And it sounds as though we're saying that people come in and lie. That's not even it. Who among us actually gets copies of our own medical records and reviews them? I've had, in fact, a mediator during a mediation explain to one of my clients, you know what? I was out gardening one day, pulled something in my back, it was bad, ended up in the emergency room. And when I got my emergency room records, because as a mediator, he knows always review those records. He got his emergency room records and they said that he had fallen. Never did he tell anyone he fell. Never did he tell anyone that anything like that, but that's what his records reflected. And so you can go to a doctor and not complain of neck pain, but absolutely end up with a record that says that you complain of neck pain. And so even if it's false, even if it's not true, we need to know about it. There's this little thing called causation. We talked about the factors associated with negligence, and causation is exactly it. If people say, why do my priors matter? Well, they matter because the insurance company wants to pin your complained of injuries on something else that is not their fault. So it really does matter. And again, not that you're lying, just because this stuff shows up in our records that we don't even know about.
Social media. Yes. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's important that, with at least respect to why you're visiting with us, hoping to hire us, we make it clear that it's not a great idea to be living your life out loud on social media. Insurance companies love to learn as much as they possibly can about you. And obviously, one quick and easy place to learn a lot about you is to jump onto social media pages. So, those public pronouncements that you make about yourself can become problematic.
And not that I was crazy growing up or in college, but there are definitely times that I am very, very grateful that the social media thing didn't happen until after that, because what do? You live life out loud. You live it online right now. And a lot of employers check it out. They don't want to hire people who are behaving and
living their best life.
Exactly.
Living their best life out loud online.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes a huge difference, and from both angles, right? So if you're the victim, you want to make sure that you have a private page. You want to make sure that you're not talking about all of the fun that you're having on the weekend, even if you're sitting back and enjoying watching other people actually do the fun things, you're still present there. I had a client who, again, at a mediation, was shown pictures of herself on a bench with her grandson at Busch Gardens doing an Elmo birthday party. And at mediation, that was used against her as, see, she's fine. No, she was actually miserable and sitting on a bench. She wasn't out riding roller coasters, but that image was used against her, and there's just don't. And then as the at-fault party, if God forbid you're ever an at-fault party in something, careful what you have on your social media. And this, to me, I remember a story where we actually had in his deposition, this became a huge deal. We had an at-fault party who, nailed our client, and they both got out of their car. And in his deposition testimony, the at-fault party testified, I was afraid for my life because your client was threatening me and he was huge, all of which my client said, absolutely no, I didn't. But we dug and looked at this at-fault party's social media page, and his profile picture was himself holding an AK-47 with all the, surrounded by all the big guys and the tattoos. And there's nothing wrong with tattoos, but if your social media profile picture is yourself being, excuse me, a
tough guy.
badass, yeah, then you know what? You can't come sit at deposition with me and talk about how terrified you were for your life. Right. Just doesn't work that way.
You just have to assume, I guess the corollary to the social media piece is oftentimes insurance companies surveil our clients, hoping that they'll catch them in one of those gotcha moments, balancing that mattress on their head as they move into their new apartment.
Yeah.
When they're having terrible neck pain. I mean, so you just be mindful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Don't put it all out there for the world to applaud.
Please stop putting it out there for the world to applaud. Oh.
So it's also really important for us to prepare our clients, particularly once a case is in litigation, which doesn't happen that frequently, but it does. And a necessary part of litigation is that the client's deposition is going to be taken. And so we want to sit down with our client beforehand and help them with the general to the specific. I mean, what the hell is a deposition? It's sworn testimony under oath, not in front of a judge, but that can be used in any manner of ways in your case, to the very specific of, what brings us here? Why is this a case? What do we need to show? So, we're helping them get ready. We're letting them know. For instance, it's okay to answer that you don't know the answer to a question or you don't remember. Now, sometimes, right? So years ago, Christy and I were working on a case in tandem. I prepared our client for her deposition. I let her know that, answering I don't know or I don't remember was perfectly fine. At the deposition the next day, she pretty much answered every single question by saying, I do not know. I don't know. I don't remember. Fortunately, Christy was able to take a break and explain to her, I know that's what Julie told you, but everything in moderation.
Read
we
the
need to be
riot
able to
act
prove
a
our
little.
case. If you can't remember anything, then how are we going to prove the case?
Yeah.
So
what's your current address? I don't know. How long have you worked where you work? I don't know. Ever been in a car accident before? I don't know.
Excuse me. Yes, you. Thanks so much for listening to That's What She Pled. We hope you're enjoying it so far. If you have any questions or would like to talk more about this topic, you can find us at lawpoweredbywomen.com. And all of our social media platforms are listed in the show notes.
So client preparation is absolutely key. Having sat in that seat, so it's funny, as the attorney, you're not typically the person being deposed unless you've had your own separate case. I actually have been deposed in my capacity as an attorney. This would qualify under one of those crazy stories that maybe we'll share some other time, but I have been deposed, and with my training and with my experience, I was so nervous to be in that hot seat. It's super different. And it's very, very easy for our clients to just, they don't sleep the night before. I mean, they're total zombies and trying to be, and then, in the course of normal human conversation, you want to be helpful. And so then you just start babbling and talking about things that you don't need to talk about, answering questions that have not been asked. Yep. And what do they say?
Volunteering
prior preparation prevents poor performance.
Yes.
Not going to try to say it again, but that's absolutely true. And you can lose a case at deposition. You can lose a case when you put your client in front of people.
Rarely do you win at a deposition, but what you don't want to do is lose it. And
right.
It's been known to happen, which is why preparation is important. If our clients are super anxious, super nervous, we'll spend time just kind of doing a mini mock deposition to kind of get them a little bit more at ease in terms of what to expect, and hopefully, putting to rest or at least reducing some of that angst.
Yeah. And for us, it's with us. It's not with a staff member. We're sitting in a room. We're putting in the work with our clients, just like we're going to be sitting right next to our clients during the deposition, during the mediation, during whatever it is. So, okay, the next one, read everything. So as your attorneys, obviously our job is to make sure that we're not letting you sign something that is against your interest. So a lot of times when you resolve a claim with a carrier, they want you to sign a release, and that release can include anything from we agree not to bring another claim for this certain instance, all the way to we agree not to bring a claim against this company ever for any reason, for any instance, ever, ever, ever. Amen. So obviously we can't let you sign things like that, but it's interesting. We have people come to us in a couple of ways. Number one, we have clients who've come to us who were tracked down by an insurance company and convinced to accept a minimal amount of money and signed a release. And then they come to us and say, oh my gosh, is it too late? And then we've actually had people come to us who say, well, see, here's the thing. I had an attorney for a different loss, but now the insurance company is telling me that I've released this one. And unfortunately, we've on at least one of those found out, yeah, the attorney didn't read the release, and the attorney released that particular insurance company from any claim ever, forevermore. Heartbreaking.
I guess the useful tidbit that comes out of all this is, first of all, in Florida, the statute of limitations on injury claims is generally 4 years from the date of the accident. Typically, these scenarios where, somebody gets offered some money by the insurance company, and then the insurance company presents this piece of paper that they want you to sign off on, happens quickly, soon after an accident. Just hopefully the insurance company can cut their losses and get the case closed quickly. What I will say to you is the injury attorney offers a free consultation always. So take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Even if you have no intention of hiring an attorney because you think you can do it on your own and do just as well, at least,
which turns out to be a mistake most of the time. If I can just
it does. But if somebody comes to me hell-bent on doing that, I'll tell them, take your time. You've got months, you've got years before you're really at a critical point. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't sign your life away.
Yeah. I mean, we
send
people away. We don't send people away, but we say to them, listen, take our contract, read it, take your time, do whatever we're not going to chase you down, but we're here to offer help when you want it.
Yeah. I'm not trying to send people away, but
yeah,
every
absolutely.
now and again.
Absolutely.
And the corollary to read everything is to get everything in writing. And that's definitely important on our end. We want to have the appropriate documentation to establish whatever we've been discussing, if we've actually been having conversations with the claims handlers, agreements to do one thing or not do another. We want it memorialized in writing. That way there's never any doubt about what the understanding is. Hey, the agreement you signed to hire us, it's in writing. That eliminates the proverbial he said, she said issues that can come up.
Oh yeah.
Clear memories or foggy memories or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. And this doesn't just apply to the legal world. No. What we do, this is just as business owners, always get it in writing. I mean, I on a daily basis, I make adjusters angry. I refuse to take their phone calls. I mean, our staff is advised, and it's adjusters, not clients, it's adjusters.
Yep.
That our staff is advised when an adjuster calls and wants to speak with me, they are to put it in writing and send it over. I don't care if it's by email or a fax, but their questions, their concerns will be in writing, and my response will be in writing. Because too many times I've had somebody call and try to play the authority game. So call our office and talk to our case manager and then send me an email and say, well, this is going to confirm my conversation with Shayla that, XYZ happened. Mm-hmm. Oh, Shayla never agreed to XYZ, and this is part of the problem to just having phone conversations, but luckily we all know, and Shayla had already documented in writing exactly what their phone conversation was. And sure enough, it was nothing like what was presented to me in writing. So no good deed goes unpunished. It's an unfortunate truth of life, and it's one that's hard learned most of the time, but yeah, don't just take that phone call real quick. Get it in writing.
In our arena.
Yeah. Yeah. So communication for attorneys, especially, at least speaking about the state of Florida, the most complained of problem with attorneys, or the thing that people contact the Florida bar and make a complaint about, is lack of communication with their attorney. And that's something that we focus on continually, whether it's scheduled coordinated calls at frequent intervals, emails, staff knows who who they are to take the time with and who they are to ignore. If they're going to ignore, it's going to be an adjuster. It's going to be someone who doesn't need their attention right now. So there's really not one size fits all communication. Our clients hire us, and to Julie and I mean, it's very important to us that they're hiring the office, but they're hiring us, and we're available. And so when clients do that, I mean, they have our email addresses, and our staff knows if clients call and they say, hey, I want to talk to Christy, or I want to talk to Julie, we either get on the phone with them or they coordinate something on our calendar. And that's just the way that it is going to go. And if you're working with somebody, and again, not just the law anywhere, but if you're working with somebody who refuses to spend the time with you and take the time to actually communicate with you, that's a problem.
Well, and we see that because it's also not uncommon that someone comes to us after they've had essentially not a great experience with another attorney who's not returned their calls, who is incommunicado, and they don't have any sense of, what's going on in their case, and they're rightfully frustrated. And so, they're looking for a second opinion and potentially a change. And, it's a priority of ours that the communication lines are open and that we're available, and that at most you're going to have to wait 24 hours. And that's almost rare in and of itself, but
yeah,
we are your attorney and we are available to you.
Yeah. So on that note, there's my note to myself sort of says, turn people away who do not align with our purpose. That I would say is kind of in conjunction with, surround yourself by a staff who is aligned with your purpose and your beliefs and all of that. And we certainly have created that sort of office atmosphere. Everybody who works with us, work for us. We work together, and we all have the same vision. We're all in this to help and to achieve and to impact people's lives for the better. But on the flip side of that token, we absolutely do turn people away. There are some people who come in because they've heard the commercials about what they could be entitled to, or some people who have made it a career to make fraudulent claims. I mean, it happens. Luckily, our little area, our Lakewood Ranch area, we have phenomenal people here. It's an amazing area. We're not as afflicted by these problems as places like Miami, really, but we have had it happen. And if they get past the initial consultation without our little red flags going up, certainly it doesn't last very long. We're in this to help people and to make lives better and to fix the wrongs, not to advance fraudulent purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not widespread. And as with any profession, there's going to be a bad apple or two out there, and it gives everybody a bad taste in their mouth about everyone else. But, we're pretty convicted about being here to help people and get them through a difficult time and help them understand all the permutations, the consequences, and so on and so forth. But we're not forcing anybody to do anything that they're not comfortable doing, or that doesn't make sense. So
yeah, and it would be so easy to take on a claim that we knew was really not valid, and it would be very easy to send these clients to the right doctors and to the right experts to get them to say what we want them to say, just to get money out of an insurance company, and that's just not who we are. It's not our goal. There are attorneys who will do that, just like there are business owners who will engage in fraudulent business activities, but it's not us. I think the natural following to that is own who we are, own who you are in business. I think in 2022, that seems to be a little bit of a theme for us in our office, and being comfortable with who we are and in our own skin, and law powered by women, not to back down from that. And in fact, to embrace it. And embrace it in the face of anybody who has decided to call our office and tell us we're stupid for doing it. We are who we are, and we own it. We're not for everybody, and you're going to get some really real talk from us sometimes. And in fact, I mean, I'm not ashamed. I had a client, actually, I guess fire would be the right word. I had a client fire me last week because she got some real talk from me and told me that, I was too hard on her and made her feel like she, had done something wrong. Well, this is a client who was using having been involved in a crash as the excuse for every single thing going wrong in her life. And the two were not related. But, at some point as the attorney, I have a job to do. We have a job to do to let you know, hey, you're ruining your own case by doing this.
Well, it goes back to also the expectation setting.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people don't want to hear what we need to say to them. Our job as attorneys, we have sort of two roles. One is your counselor. And that means we're going to tell you the good and the bad. And sometimes it's hard to hear some of that. And we understand that, but we try to help them understand why we're saying that, why it's important. Our other role is as your advocate. So externally, when we're advocating your claim with the insurance company or the opposing counsel or whatever, we're fighting for you and we're advancing the best arguments and we're trying to counter whatever their arguments are in order to get the best result we can under the circumstances. So, sometimes clients don't like what we have to tell them as their counselor.
We're not for everybody.
Counselor at law.
That's right. We're not for everybody. On the other hand, when you get a wedding announcement from a client because you've made such a connection and that client starts to trust you. And that's the most incredible feeling ever. Yeah. So
let's
number
wrap
10.
it up with, right. It's not personal injuries are personal, but it's not personal for us that it's ultimately we are a business. And so, we have to give hard information and hard answers and things like that. And it's an informed answer or bit of information or whatever that we're providing to you for, important reasons, not because we have some.
All right. It's not anger. It's not a vendetta. One of the first things I learned just as a teeny tiny little green baby attorney was it's not personal. That attorney raised his voice at you. It's not personal. That attorney beat you in a hearing. It's not personal. That attorney felt the need to disparage you to make himself feel better. It's not personal. And in fact, if we're doing Psych 101, right? Somebody attacks you, then usually that's an indicator that that person has some serious stuff going on and is behaving as though they're looking in a mirror, right? It's AKA projection. So, item number 10 for being a business owner, and especially, we don't use this, I'm a woman and so poor me, but especially being a female business owner, it's not personal. People are not contacting you to attack you on a personal level. It just doesn't happen that way. And so if you let those emotions get involved, you lose your head. And if my son were in a car accident, I would not be his attorney. I can tell you that, because that is personal. And any little thing that happened, I would take very personally, any attack. So it's, that's, to me, especially as a female business owner, it's not personal. Go about your day and pray for the person doing the attacking.
You can find us on the web at lawpoweredbywomen.com. You can call our offices. You can send us an email. We can't see smoke signals, but we'll do our very best to respond. So reach out. We want to help.
Thank you for listening to That's What She Pled podcast. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Lursen Goldberg lawyers. The content has been made available for general informational and educational purposes only and may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. The content is not intended to be a substitute for legal advice from your individual attorney, and the information provided does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice.